Hey everyone, my name's Austin and this channel is all about digging deeper and going further to better understand faith and film and everything that is in between. If that is exciting to you and you're new here, subscribe for a new video just like this one every Friday. We are back with another entry in the Lord of the Rings series we're doing on this channel. I'm always excited to come back to these because obviously, as I've said time and time again, the Lord of the Rings are my favorite and we're going to talk about why they're the best. So, the next few scenes we're going to talk about specifically focus on a theme of failure. And I know this sounds kind of Debbie Downerish, but we're going to end on a high note, don't worry. So the ring has now arrived in Rivendell, Frodo has been healed, the hobbits are reunited, and they think that their quest is over. Frodo is able to catch up with Bilbo, who it seems age has caught up with. And though Frodo doesn't realize it, this is his first time seeing someone with And though he doesn't realize it, this is Frodo's first time seeing the long-term effects of the ring. Without it, Bilbo no longer has the strength and the longevity of life that he's become so accustomed to. And Bilbo will soon realize the great effect that this ring did have on his life. Now that we're all caught up, we then transition into Gandalf and Elrond as they are discussing the fate of the ring. Elrond tells Gandalf that the ring cannot stay in Rivendell, to which Gandalf responds saying that it is in men that they must put their hope. Elrond believes that men are weak, as 3,000 years ago he was there at the War for Middle-earth and the War for the Ring, when Isildur decided to keep the ring for himself and break the line of kings and strength. But Gandalf has faith that there is one, Aragorn, who can reclaim the throne. It's a really interesting discussion here to talk about failure, and this is in the tense of the past. This is going to be a very common theme throughout this video, and a lot of the Lord of the Rings are focused on the failures of the past and how it has affected the future. And so many of the people in these films, specifically Aragorn, which we're about to talk about, focus on that, feeling like it will affect their future and really having a fear because of that. And it's a really cool way of looking at it through these few scenes here. So continuing on, we are now introduced to the character of Boromir, and he is exploring the history of the War for Middle-earth and the Ring, and he finds the shards of the sword Narsil. This is the sword that cut the ring from Sauron's hand. He briefly introduces himself to Aragorn, who he notices is reading across the room, and Boromir admires the remains of the sword. While brushing it, he cuts his finger, remarking that it is still sharp. Now, there are a few different interpretations of this next moment. Boromir turns, facing back to Aragorn, noticing he's still watching, and says that it's just a broken hilt. He places it clumsily on the pedestal and walks away as it falls. Now, some believe that Boromir did this out of embarrassment, others say he did it because he is proud. I personally think we're looking at a case of foreshadowing. And here's what I mean by that. I feel like this sword is kind of a metaphor for the nation of Gondor. The sword being broken and cutting Boromir represents the failure of its previous owner, and that Gondor can still be strong, but that in the wrong hands, it could fail. Boromir then, in a moment of pride, turns his back and walks away. We'll talk about that again when we get to the end of this movie. Aragorn then stands and respectfully returns the sword to its place. In my theory, symbolizing that he will correct previous failures and reclaim the throne. I'm not saying he knows this, because I don't think he does at all. He wants nothing to do with it really, but I feel like that's what the movie is telling us and what the intention was behind the scene. So he steps away and Arwen approaches him, and she asks him why he fears the past. He responds saying that the same blood of his ancestors flows through his veins, indicating that he fears he will succumb to the same failures of previous generations in his lineage. She then professes that he will come to face this same evil and that he will actually defeat it. I really like this because we On the first scene with Gandalf and Elrond, we're focusing on the failures of the past and kind of we started there, and now that's been established and we're seeing what those failures were in the past, and now we're almost getting a profession of what could be if one chooses to not let those failures define them. Do not let the failures of your past affect how you choose to behave in the future. Don't let the fear of this is my blood, this is my lineage, it's fate, destiny, that kind of thing. Be willing to chart your own path and not let those failures affect your future. There are so many cases of people in the Bible who came from families full of just wretched, evil, horrible, sinful things, and God still used them to grow their character and develop them in a way that would glorify Him. And Aragorn goes through a very similar development throughout the story of The Lord of the Rings. We then transition to the Council of Elrond. Lord Elrond gathers various people from different races and regions across Middle-earth who must unite to defeat Sauron or fall forever. Boromir insists that this ring is a gift that they must use to defeat Sauron. Aragorn counters, clarifying that no one can wield the power of the ring besides the Dark Lord Sauron. It is then revealed to Boromir that Aragorn is the heir to the throne of Gondor and that he should owe him his allegiance. This is said by Legolas. He snarks back proudly that Gondor has and needs no king. We then move to figuring out what's going to happen to this ring. It is presented that they must take it into the heart of Mordor and cast it into Mount Doom. And Boromir gives an eloquent speech as to all the evil and awful things that they would have to go through to get to Mordor and get the ring into Mount Doom. Again, focusing on the dread and fear of failure. We are then given hope as Frodo steps forwards and volunteers to take on this near impossible quest and deliver the ring to Mount Doom. Some of his friends volunteer to join, and Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn and Boromir all volunteer to assist Frodo on this quest to destroy the ring. It's really cool to see this character development with Frodo already, because just in the last video we were talking about how he gave in to his fear and is obviously thinking about this failure of falling into this power of the ring. It has begun to kind of twist him to its own will and draw him towards it. So there's kind of a mix, as you can see that it's starting to affect him very seriously, but at the same time you're so hopeful in that he recognizes that there was a failure there and sees this as his opportunity to right that. I'm very excited to keep going with this now because we have assembled the Fellowship of the Ring and we can talk about all the other characters that have joined now. We're about halfway through the movie. I'm excited that we're going to be getting into the real meat of the Lord of the Rings now. Now that all these characters are introduced, there's a lot more to chew on. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you can see when the next episode in the series goes up. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you're subscribed so you can see future videos in the series. Like the video and share it with someone who you know will enjoy it just as much as you did. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video.